Welcome to the Unbreakable Mixshow. Here it is all about
music, movement, motivation. Be unbreakable.
So tonight I'm going to continue my celebration of Disability Pride Month. And I'm so excited because I didn't even realize that this was a month. I feel a little ashamed about that. But to be honest, it's okay. Because it's one of those things where people don't realize you have to celebrate and you have to honor and you have to think consciously about when these things happen so that we can uplift these marginalized communities. And trust me, being disabled, for as large of a minority as we are, we're very marginalized, man. It's crazy. Like, people look at disability and look at people with disabilities really strange. And so that's why I wanted to take this month and really say, hey, you know what? We can celebrate. We can celebrate and we can honor disabled people, right? Give it up. Give it up. So it's really about like three things that I want to go over quickly. I mean, it's more than this. It's more than just these three things, but these are the three things that I want to talk about tonight. Number one, disability pride is really about looking at disability as being normal. I know it's a tough thing because we have labeled like disabled and someone having a disability like it's not a normal thing, right? And it's part of this, part of celebrating disability as opposed to just bringing awareness and stuff like that. Celebrating it will help us see that it's just a normal thing in life. We all have some degree of disability, if you really think about it. Every single one of us has something, if you really look at the definition of disability, right? Something that's stopping us, something that's, restricting us, etc. And even that, having a disability doesn't restrict that many people. There's a whole nother side of it where people are not restricted by their disability. But if you think about that definition, we all have something, right? So being aware that disability is normal, really normalizing it and saying, you know what? People with disabilities are just like, they are normal. Everything is normal. We label it disability, but it doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's more to it than that. So that's the first thing, just being aware that having a disability is just a normal thing, not treating people with disabilities differently. Of course, there's things that are needed, right? But those should be just normal things, like a ramp into a store. It should just be normal. It's not an accommodation. That should just be the normal, right? So these are things we got to start thinking about this month. Now, the second is really looking at this word ableism. And now ableism goes very, very deep. There's a lot of people with disabilities that I feel misuse this word. And it's really, it's hard to take shape and take ownership of the word for a lot of people because it's very nuanced. As I'm learning, as I'm even getting deeper into the disability community, I'm realizing that, there's things that I may have an ableist thought about, right? Now, the definition of ableism is discrimination in favor of able-bodied people. So just the thought of that, a few examples, like asking someone what's wrong with them, right? Like, you don't need to ask somebody what's wrong with them because there's nothing wrong with them. Now, some of these going to blow your mind a little bit because as I was learning them, they blew my mind. So the first thing, like the first kind of example is asking someone what's wrong with them because you're automatically labeling that a disability means something's wrong. And we got to kind of eliminate that, right? The second thing is saying you don't look disabled as though it's a compliment, right? I get this all the time. Because my disability, osteogenesis imperfecta, I have type 1, which is one of the mildest forms. So people look at me and I tell them I'm disabled, I have a disability. And they're like, well, you don't look disabled. Like, it's a good thing that I'm not disabled, right? And we got to kind of squash that. That's an ableist thought, as it's labeled here. So that's one. That's another example. Okay, now, the third thing is assuming that a physical disability is the product of laziness or a lack of exercise or effort. Oh, this is a big one, man. This is a big one. Because even people with disabilities will do this to other people with disabilities. This is crazy. I get this sometimes, and some people will say this to me when I tell them what I've been through as far as my physical transformation and really going for it. They're like, oh, it's just because of you were lazy. That's why you have this disability, right? But it's not true. And a lot of people, this is just false. Okay, let's just put it like that. So don't say these things, okay? Don't ask someone what's wrong with them. Don't say you don't look disabled and trying to make it like a compliment. And then don't assume that a physical disability is a product of laziness or lack of exercise or effort, because it's not, all right? So these are just some things. I know they're big things. These are big concepts, big ideas, but I want you to start thinking about them, okay? That's the whole point of the Unbreakable Mixshow, is to help you think differently, right? And then, so the third thing that I want you to do to really get down with Disability Pride Month is I want you to celebrate someone in your life who has a disability, all right? I want you to celebrate someone. I know that you know somebody that has a disability. Now, you may be watching, you have a disability, right? But if you're watching and you or listening and you don't have a disability, I want you to, basically walk out your door, or you may have someone in your family, I don't know. Walk out your door, look around. You're going to find someone with a disability, and I want you to celebrate them. I don't want you to pity them. I don't want you to think of them as lesser than. I want you to celebrate them and the awesome person that they are, regardless of the disability, with the disability. All right? That's part of Disability Pride Month. You feel me on that? That's right. Because that's what it's about, y'all. That's what it's about. Disability Pride Month. Man, it's all month long. And I want you to celebrate it, because we're going to keep celebrating it here on the Unbreakable Mixshow. So if you feel me, go ahead and head on over to TonyJacobsen.com. Head over to TonyJacobsen.com. Check out what I got going on at the Tony Jacobsen Foundation. Lots of great things. Unbreakable Body, the Unbreakable Mixshow, OI Life. We got my book, Disable Your Disability. There's so many resources available for people with disabilities, and I want you to support. Help me, help everybody. All right, so head on over there. We're going to get back into this music now. It's the Unbreakable Mixshow. Let's go.
Music, movement, motivation. Be unbreakable.